It's been a day. It's been quite a day. Holy shit, has it been a day. And I am tired. I've been tired for hours. Oh, shit. Why am I here? Oh, right. Fuck. I'm here because I'm reviewing the show Mare of Easttown, which was on HBO. It was a mini-series on HBO. I didn't watch it live. I watched it on HBO Max over the weekend. I didn't realize how many episodes it was going to be. That show went on for a really long fucking time. What is it about, you might be asking if you hadn't fucking watched it. Well, I'm going to cover a few things here. I'm going to cover who was in it. For starters, the most famous people in it were Kate Winslet from fucking Titanic and a bunch of other stuff, who plays the title character, Mayor Sheehan, who's a detective in fucking somewhere in Delaware County, Philadelphia. I forget. Easttown. That's where it is, which I don't know if it's a real town or a made-up place, but fuck it, whatever. Who else is in it? Guy Pearce, who plays a writer who's her sort of love interest in the show, who she meets. Jean Smart plays her mother, whose name I think is Helen. I forget. It doesn't really matter. Evan Peters plays this other cop who she sort of begrudgingly partnered up with at first and who she eventually starts to like. He's a younger detective, obviously, because he's younger than her. Who else? Her ex-husband is played by one of the warehouse guys from The Office, the one who was originally engaged to Pam. If you ever watched the American version of The Office, I don't know, but that's where I recognize him from. Blah, blah, blah. Oh, yeah, and her best friend is played by the woman who was the female detective in that Law & Order I didn't watch. The Criminal Intent one. The one where they show you the crime. I never quite understood the point of that one. Anyways, I think she was the one who was teamed up with Christopher Noth. Or maybe she was with it doesn't matter. Never mind. She was from that Law & Order I never watched. And then there was a bunch of other people who I don't... Oh, yeah, one of them I think was Kevin Bacon and Kyra Sedgwick's daughter, who plays Mare's son's... Mare's grandmother's mother... Mare's grandson's mother. That's what I was trying to say. Mare's grandson's mother. Because her grandson's father was Mare's son, who is dead. And the mother of her grandson is an ex-addict who's trying to get her shit together. Who is Kevin Bacon and Kyra Sedgwick's daughter. Her name is like Sosie Bacon or something like that. Anyways, getting to the point, because this is already dragging on for too long. This is a murder mystery show. She's a cop. She's in this place called Easttown, which is supposed to be representative of all the shitty little, used to be prosperous suburbs in Philadelphia. Like a lot of shitty used to be prosperous suburbs all over the fucking East Coast. As someone who lives in a shitty used to be prosperous suburb in fucking, the tri-state area of New York, in the capital area of New York, I'm very familiar with these types of places. There's a lot depicting about, how there's a lot of heroin addicts, a lot of junkies, a lot of people who are desperate just to fucking make money and get by in this place. And, there was a lot going on in this show. Because on top of the fucking murder, like, we see the setup of this girl who I believe is supposed to be 17, 18 years old, maybe. And she has an infant son who has an ear problem, and she's dealing with the infant son's father, who's her ex-boyfriend, who she doesn't get along with, and his current girlfriend, who's really shitty to her. And she's dealing with all that shit, and then she gets lured to this thing at a park one night by the ex-boyfriend and his current girlfriend, and the current girlfriend beats the shit out of her because, you know, it's Philly. Bitches are like that there. And she just sort of walks off, and then she's not seen again until the morning when her dead body is found in a creek, or crick, as they say in fucking Philly. And she's been stripped almost completely naked. And she's been shot in the head, and one of her fingers is missing, meaning that her finger has also been shot off. So that's the initial murder mystery. But on top of that, there's already pressure on the local police force, including Mayor, who's their like main detective, because apparently a girl went missing, a girl who was a drug addict who has started turning tricks because she was to support her habit, had gone missing a year ago, and the girl's mother, who's a cancer patient, who's actually friends with Mayor because they went to high school together, or Mayor is short for Marianne, by the way, they reveal that later on, is like, she's been, like, the girl's mother has been, like, going on this big crusade to, like, bring more attention to the police and bring in outside help because they want somebody to help figure out what happened to her daughter because they found nothing. It's like she just disappeared without a trace. And so after this initial murder, people start wondering, are the two cases connected? And the cops say there's no reason to believe that because they found no body of the first girl. But we'll get back to that. After this initial murder, after this new murder of the new girl, they bring in an outside cop. That's where Evan Peters' character comes in. I don't remember his name. But apparently he solved some big case in wherever he's from. And so they send him in to help with this, but as they partner together, Mayor seems like a better detective, and he keeps being struck how everybody in this place seems to know her. It's like such a small community that she seems to just know everybody. She's personally connected to everybody in some way or another. And there's all these suspicions, and people keep lying. Like, her Mayor's cousin is a priest, and he's the priest at the local parish with this deacon. And the deacon, there's evidence that the deacon knew the murdered girl, and he's maybe lying about how much contact he had with her. And then they find out he was transferred from another parish because there was accusations that he had sex with a 14-year-old girl. And then you find out that the murdered girl's bike that they never found, he had it and he dumps it in a river, leading to more suspicions about him. Then at one point, they bring up the paternity of the murdered girl's kid. Her best friend suggests that maybe it was one of the teachers at the school, the teacher who is Mayor's ex-husband, who is now getting remarried, and she makes accusations about that because when she asked him about her if he knew her, he said not really, but there's, you know, somebody saw him like driving her home and like buying shit for her. So there's all this going back and forth, and then he has the nerve to get angry at her, Mayor, when she accuses him. It's like, motherfucker, you lied. This is a murder investigation, and you lied. Don't lie. His reason for lying is really stupid too, but he doesn't have anything to do with it. Spoiler alert. But anyways, like I said, there's so much going on because it's also dealing with the personal issues. Like, she's obviously, like, her son killed himself 2 years ago, and everyone in this family is dealing with the trauma, but she's trying not to deal with it, and it's affecting everybody else, and it's kind of isolating her from her family and her extended family. She's the only one not invited to her ex-husband's not graduation party, engagement party. She didn't even know he was engaged at first, and they have this thing in the first episode about how there's a ceremony commemorating how, like, 25 years ago, she, like, her big thing was in high school. She was part of the girls' basketball team, and she made this, like, big shot to win, like, a very important game, I guess. They never go into it much. It's just, like, for some reason, this is her claim to fame, and it's the school's claim to fame, and it's just, like, that's some sad shit. But it, like, weighs on her, because she thinks that, like, everybody expects too much for her. It's, like, because of a basketball shot you made in high school? People gotta get out more. Christ. Also, the fucking Philly accent that they keep trying to use, they keep going in and out of it too much. They tried to make it so subtle that they sort of drop it, but then pick it up whenever they feel like it. So it's just like, it only comes up with the key words, like when they say like crick or home or shit like that, or house, you know? It's like, it just seems weird. It almost seems like they're, like, purposely putting it on. It doesn't quite work. But like I said, there's all this going back and forth about, like, what happened to this, like, who murdered this girl? Is it connected to the other things? Then, while they're in the middle of all of this, Mare decides to fuck up because her grandson's mother starts trying to fight her for custody. And they know she's going to win because she's the mother, so she decides to plant heroin on her. And her boss realizes that she did it, and he fucking suspends her. So now she has to go through Evan Peters to kind of, like, stay on the case. And she starts, like, working with him unofficially, and he just sort of accepts it, because it turns out that big case that he solved, he didn't actually solve it. It was a private detective who solved it, but then he ended up hospitalized because he got, like, he was a drunk, and he got, like, liver failure. He got liver failure, and so he had to be hospitalized. So he ended up getting access to the private detective's notes, and he found, and apparently the private detective was an ex-cop who was a way better cop than Evan Peters was, and he found, you know, the main suspect, and that's how Evan Peters was able to solve the case. So he's like, I didn't even solve that case. But Mare is actually a good detective because they found the crime scene. She's the one who found the bullets. I forget how they found the crime scene. Oh, I think it was like a jogger found something in another park. And yeah. So it goes through all this shit, and you don't know. It's like you're trying to figure out who's the father of the dead girl's baby, because it's not the boyfriend as we initially thought, and then the dead girl's father thinks it's the ex-boyfriend who killed her, so he takes him out into the woods one night and shoots him in the back, but he doesn't kill him, so he goes to jail for attempted murder. The boyfriend ends up almost paralyzed, but he survives, but then when he finds out he's not the kid's father anymore, he questions whether he should ever have any responsibility for him, but you realize he's not a complete piece of shit, because he does feel something for the kid, but then he kind of does act like a piece of shit because he finds that he partners with the dead girl's best friend to find the dead girl's journals so they can burn them, because I don't quite know why. I think he just wanted to cover up any evidence of who the real father might have been. But then, like, the dead girl's best friend takes something out of one of the journals that she sees, and meanwhile, there's all this weird personal shit going on. There's, like, a personal shit with Mare's daughter, and she's a lesbian, and she finds a new girlfriend. It's like, why is this important? And then there's this weird shit with Mare's best friend, and, like, her son is having, like, these weird problems, and she finds out it's because her husband is having an affair on her again, cheating on her again, and you're just like, why is that important? But that actually does become important later on. Then, on top of all this, another girl, another drug-addicted hooker, gets kidnapped. She gets kidnapped, and she gets thrown into some, like, makeshift prison room. And we find her in this room, and who is she with? Surprise, surprise! The girl who's been missing for a year. She's still alive. She's been held kidnapped this entire time. She's actually even gotten clean because she spent a year without doing drugs, so she just had to go cold turkey. So now they have to go looking for the second girl, and they end up finding Mare gets a contact through a hooker she knows, and they end up finding a girl who claims a guy tried to kidnap her once, and he was in a blue workers van, so they track down a blue workers van and a partial license plate. They find it, and they find the place, but the guy, as soon as they show up, he gets instantly suspicious, and he gets a gun, and the two girls realize that somebody's there who isn't supposed to be there, so they start, like, making noise. And as that happens, Evan Peters goes to draw his gun, but the guy draws quicker and shoots Evan Peters in the head, shoots Mare or Kate Winslet in the hand or in the arm or something. She manages to get the better of him, gets Evan Peters' gun, because she didn't have her own gun at the time because she was suspended. She wasn't even supposed to be there, and she shoots the guy and kills him, frees the two girls. So that happens. Oh yeah, and there's also the thing with the initial missing girl's mother. She was being extorted by a fake kidnapper, and it turns out it was like the drug addicted brother of this other woman that Mare knows. It's all these weird just things just happen, and you're just like, I don't know why this is even part of the story, but there's just so much going on here. So yeah. So they catch the guy. Well, she kills the guy who kidnapped those two girls, so they free them. But then they realize these cases aren't connected at all. Evan Peters unfortunately dies. Mare gets reinstated because she caught the guy, so now she's a hero again. And but they realize that this murder here, the murder of the teenage girl, even though technically she did start hooking to get, like, her son had some weird ear thing, so she needed money for a surgery and nobody was helping, so she did do a little bit of prostitution, or at least she attempted to kind of get money to fix it. She wasn't part of that, so it doesn't match any of the profiles. So they're wondering what the hell happened here. Well, remember how I said Mare's best friend, her husband, was cheating on her? Well, her husband and her husband's brother are cousins to the father of the dead girl. And Mare finds some weird locket with a date on it, and then she finds a shirt that shows that, like, the date on the locket was the same date that they had some major, like, that the family had a big family gathering, a family reunion type thing. And so Mare's like, okay, this means something. And then we find out that there is, like, Mare's best friend's husband's father saw his brother covered in blood the night of the murder, and so he thinks he murdered him, and so now Mare's best friend's husband says he'll handle it, and he tells his wife a story. Basically, it comes with a suspicion that Mare's best friend's brother-in-law is the father of the dead girl's baby, which means not only did he commit statutory rape, he also committed incest because the girl's his cousin. And that he killed her when she told him that she didn't want to lie about it anymore. That seems to be the story. But then, remember how I said the best friend, the dead girl's best friend, took a picture out of her journal? Well, the picture shows her in bed with Mare's best friend's husband, meaning he's the child of the baby, or the father of the child. So you're like, so then who murdered her? So he had sex with her. Who murdered her? Well, it seems like at the end when the Mare's best friend's husband takes his brother out to some fishing trip and he's got a gun, like he's gonna kill him, and he threatens to shoot him with a gun, but he can't actually do it. And then Mare gets there and she stops him and they fight and she ends up arresting him. And then he basically confesses. He's like, yeah, I had sex with her. I'm the father of the baby. She said she didn't want to lie about it anymore. She said she was going to reveal everything, and that she brought a gun there and threatened me with it, and I tried to take it from her, and then she got shot in the hand. That's where her finger was off, and then I just shot her just out of instinct. And he's like, he basically takes responsibility for it. And you think, okay, well then it's all over. But no, it's not all over. There's still more. And this Mare dealing with her personal issues of her son who hung himself in the attic, which is something that comes up later in the story because it's this weird thing. And because after she got suspended, the cover story was that she had to do it for personal reasons to deal with her grief over her son killing himself. And so she has to go to grief counseling for that. And then add all this, these little details start popping up about how, oh yeah, and her best friend takes custody of her husband's fucking love child now, so it's like she's all fucked up, her family's a fucking mess. And then Mare has a confrontation with the woman that she thought her best friend's husband was cheating on her best friend with. But then the best friend says, like, yeah, the first time we had an affair, but she's like, that was a mistake. I never did it again. And then at one point she just has like this weird thing where like these people who were, basically she finds out that a guy who used to be a cop had his gun stolen, and it matches the same type of gun that was used to kill the girl. And she goes, who has access to this? And he said how it went missing at one point, but then somebody brought it back. And she goes, and he said, like, yeah, 2 rounds are missing from it. You think as an ex-cop you'd be kind of suspicious about that, but whatever. And she goes, well, who has access to it? He's like, just me and the boy who cuts the lawn. She says, who's the boy who cuts the lawn? And it's her Mare's best friend's son. So meaning that the reason Mare's best friend's husband confessed to the crime is because he was covering for his son. And she goes and she confronts the son. He runs home and Mare goes and gets him there and she arrests him. Apparently Mare's best friend knew about it since, or I guess her husband told her the whole story the day he was going to go kill his brother, and she went along with the lie. You're like, why would she lie for her husband? Because at first she said it was her brother-in-law who raped and who had sex with and then killed the girl. And she's like, why would she lie for her husband? It's like she wasn't lying for her husband, who she thought cheated on her. She was lying for her son. So her son goes to jail for murder. He went and got a gun. That's like kind of premeditated murder. He said he just wanted to threaten her with it, but I mean, that don't look good. He said they fought and he shot her by accident, but I mean, it's like, you brought the gun, dude. And then he told his father, and his father basically just cleaned it all up for him, or at least he tried to. And he brought his brother along to do it, and that's why his brother thought he killed the girl. So yeah, it was the father lying for his son, and it was this weird whole double feint thing. Here's the thing. after when this revelation popped up, and I realized it pretty early on. Like, you could see the fucking revelations coming a mile away. As I realized this, it reminded me of another show I watched, another miniseries I watched called Grace Point, which is based on a English miniseries called Broadchurch, and I believe they have the basic same story. They both actually starred David Tennant, but Broadchurch is very much, or Grace Point is very much a similar story, except this time it's about a dead boy. But when the whole thing comes out, it ends up being the same. It ends up being a very similar conclusion, because it's about it's these two detectives. David Tennant plays the male detective. In the English version, it's Olivia Colman, and in the American version that I saw, Grace Point, it was Anna Gunn from Breaking Bad fame. And I don't, like I said, I don't know how it went in the English version, but in the American version, the killer at first is revealed to be Anna Gunn's husband, who is having a sexual relation with the boy. But what you come to find out later on, or towards the end, and it seemed like they were setting up for a second season, even though it was supposed to be a miniseries, is that in actuality, it was Anna Gunn's son who killed the boy by accident because he was trying to protect the kid from his own father, and he was like swinging around a boat oar, and he just swung too wildly and accidentally hit his own friend in the head and killed him. And his father, realizing that, you know, this was all essentially his fault, basically just took responsibility for it. I couldn't get over the similarities between these two stories. That just struck me. Spoiler alert for all of this. I should have said that already. My bad. Yeah, I remember I said Guy Pearce was her love interest. He's this fucking college professor who wrote a book that she keeps running into, and she has a very casual relationship with her. He seems like way too cool at first, like you expect something evil about him, but he's actually just a fucking laid-back older guy who just, you know, just likes her. I mean, she fucks him on their first date, so it's Philly. And at the end, to get over her grief, you see that she goes up, you know, her daughter goes off to college, and she goes up to the attic where her son was, because she said nobody could go up in the attic after they found him dead up there. And she just, like, kind of opens it up, and that's supposed to be the sign that she's willing to finally start confronting her grief and maybe move on with her life, because she's been in this, like, awful place for 2 years. She also gets custody of her grandson because her grandson's mother starts using again, because she had to, like, start taking uppers to stay awake for work. It's all so fucking depressing. And the priest who destroyed evidence and was accused of being a fucking pedophile by everybody, he sticks around in town. He still, like, is giving a sermon. It's weird that anybody would go after accusing him of being a pedophile, but you know, he gives this sermon about how they have to, like, come together, and it's just like, I don't know, maybe you should get out of this fucking shitty town. There's nothing here for you. Despite all its fucking weird problems, I actually really like this. It's very engrossing, it's very enveloping. If you're watching this, I hope I didn't ruin it for you. I'll put a spoiler warning in the fucking description, because, yeah, that was a big spoiler. But yeah, Mare of Easttown, I gave it 2 thumbs up. I think it was good. Definitely worth a watch. A good murder mystery if you like those things, which I do. So, yeah, that's it. Until next time, I'm tired.